Welcome everyone as we continue our trek to get the complete Alive 2. This is I Want You from Rock and Roll Over. What a great song. I have to say I had a blast learning this, writing it out, figuring it out. It's really well put together. So we start out with an acoustic intro, which of course live they do on the electric, basically on the rhythm with it turned down so it's cleaned up a bit. But I'm going to go over the acoustic, which they use a 12 string. So got my 12 string out, tuned it down. We are in E flat tuning with most Kiss songs. E flat. Okay, so tune every string down a half step. You'll be in tune with the song. I'm going to cover both Alive 2 and the recorded version. The only real difference is the ending. So when we get to that, we'll talk about it. The intro starts, oddly enough, I was like, really? He does a G. But he starts with a G to D, and then E minor. Not that that's unusual, but the next two half measures are C, D, E minor. So the G that only comes once is in the intro. So form your G with the two first and second string covered. All right. We really don't need the A covered because we're not going to pick that string. So I'll just put my finger out so you can see that. But what we're going to pick, I will talk to the strings. So we're going to go 6 to 4 and then play the first and second to the third. Alright? Then we switch, so we're going to hit the fourth string and then the third string, first and second, back to the third string. So now we go to an E minor. All right, we only got to put the second fret on the fourth string because we're not, again, playing in this point the fifth string. So we're going to hit the sixth string to the fourth string and then the first and second open. Then we hit the third string open, back to the first, second, and then we come up to the second fret of the fourth to the open third. So we have this. Then we go to a C. So the C, again, we're going to hit the root. So that'll be on the fifth string to the fourth string, and then the first and second strings to the third string. Then we move to a D. Just like we've learned. And then to the E minor, the same E minor picking pattern. 6, 4, 1 and 2. Back to 3, then 1, 2, then 4, 3. Back to C, D, E minor to finish. And then the band kicks in. So that is the intro. Again, I've written this out of my tab. Even with the electric, he's doing the same type of pattern. He might not play all the strings exactly, but this pattern exists and he's going with the feel. So as long as you're tuned down to E flat, Practice this pattern and play with the recording. You got it. Alright, we're to the electric part as far as the recording and when they kick in. Like I said, with the Alive 2, you can play it, just turn it to your rhythm channel, you know. Go with that. And then when you're ready, you kick into this. Alright, so basically 2 chords, C to D, to finish out this intro. 4 counts with 4 beats each. So these are 16ths. So you count it 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Then when we go to the D, that's on the C. When we go to the D, we stop at 3. Then we kick in. Alright? So 16 notes, 4 counts the first time, stop on the third, this on the D. Then we're into the verse. So what we're going to do, mute the 6th string, hit it twice, and then one more time. Then we hit an E power chord. Then we move on the 6th string to 5, 6, 7 and catch 5 on the 4th string. So we have this so far. Repeat that first part. Then you'll hear twirling that Ace does, and it's very prevalent in this. Sometimes Paul does it too live. But what they're doing on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, alright? Hammer on and pull off for a count. And then move to the 4th string. Alright? What Paul does during that is just hit the 4th string at 5 and then the 5th string at 5. So here's Paul during the twill. Alright, he's just kind of backing things up. Now, we got the twill part down. We're back into the first lick, if we will. Now we're going to do a walk down. We move to the 5th position, but we start on the 7th fret of the 5th string to 5, and then we go to the 6th string, 7, 6, 5. Then quickly move to an F sharp power chord. Now, if you can't quite hit the power chord or make it sound right, just hit the F sharp note. Alright, you got the bass, you got everything else going, but I really hear the chord. Then we come into the 3rd fret for a G, and then an A. Alright, now we change this up a little bit. In my notes, I wrote Ace's part in highlighted green, and when we get to the lead, Paul will be highlighted yellow. But anyhow, for what Paul does with the rhythm, we're going to do 4 palm mutes as a da-da-da-da. Alright? And then an E power chord. And while he hits the E, Ace is up here, 1st string 12, 2nd string at 15, and hits those together and bends it up for a unison bend. So you got your choice, you could do either one. Alright, I saw it tabbed out with the Hendrix chord. They put this in there. And damn, that sounds good, but I don't believe that's what they do, especially watching Paul live. A lot of the stuff he does is up here in the 1st position, just transposing this. But I feel, you know, if you're just jamming along and you've come from the G to A, just move to this E. Alright, so let's go with this. We'll do that twice. The 1 E and up on the muted 6, then this E power chord, and again, Ace does the same thing. Then he comes back to G, and then I just went to A to show you the first position. You could do this. Then it repeats. So we got G to A power chords, all right? So if we play this G, we don't want that B note in there. So mute that B note, use your first and second string like we did with the acoustic to your A power chord there. And we're going to move up to a C chord. Then the C chord moves down to a B flat, but we keep our ring finger on that 4th string at the 5th fret. It's just another way of playing a chord. Some people call it a slack chord. Then we go to A and G. Then we finish up with a B, and it's a 4-cut. So if we continue on, basically this is the verse in the same rhythm is the chorus. I had a real hard time separating chorus from verse, but either way, we're doing the same thing. The next 2 measures are like a pre-chorus. What we're going to do is basically the intro with the trill. Alright, that's what Ace does. Then we're into the solo rhythm. The solo rhythm, slightly different as you would expect. And what we're going to do is we're going to be chugging on that E string muted, 1 E and a 2. Then our E, another chug. Then an E to D, another chug to E. And then we move right away to A, and then kind of hit the open A and hammer into a D. So that's kind of like a, you know, just the first half measure, let's call that. At that point, the solo will start, but the solo rhythm takes us into it. That's when Paul starts his actual solo. So we're going to go through that just like I showed you. 2 more times, another full measure. We'll do another half measure up to, we're going to slide E to D and then just stop at E with a walk down. So this is the last solo rhythm measure. they stop after holding that A. There's no chugging on the A at the end of the solo measure. So basically we know all of that part, the walk down and so forth. Then we reprise the intro. You'll hear the acoustic guitar. Again, you can go to the rhythm guitar and do the exact same intro, including the C to D with 4/16 to 3/16. And then we're into, again, another verse. Outro. This is where things deviate a little from the recording. All right, I'm going to cover a live twos outro. We'll go over the solo last. The outro for a live two starts out with the lick we know. Now, the key to the outro, when we go to that 5, you will hear Ace doing that unison bend at 12 and 15. All right, then we're back in with our trill. Now, that's one measure up to the trill. The second measure is different, and this catches a lot of people. They just figure it goes on with the trill for 4 measures. This second measure is different. All right, so we start out the same. An Ace coming in there. So what we do different, instead of twilling, we're going to go 5, 6, 7 on the 6th string to the 5th fret, slight vibrato, and then 4th string, 5th fret. All right, so the second measure, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, then we continue on 2 more measures with the trill. Then we change it up a bit. All right, what we do for this, let's just say second to last measure, we're going to go into the where we hit the E and then E slide to D. You see, I want to move to 2, but actually they go right to 3. All right, so the walk down, 5th string 7 to 5, 6th string 7, 6, 5 to 3 and held. So this is on, again, a live 2. Paul will do his call and answer with the crowd. And then they come back in with, we'll just play a big E. It's basically an E power chord. I call it a big E because we're playing the 6th string and the 1st and 2nd opens. So just put your 5th string at 7, 9 on the 4th and 3rd string. All right, that is the end of a live 2. For the recording outro, it's basically the same, but just fades out with those trills. All right, we're going to do the trill for a measure, and then the lick that I talked about everyone misses, and then go into measures with the trill. So I'm going to do the first 3 measures. That last measure will keep repeating as they fade out. All right, so we have this. And like I said, the trill will continue on for at least 2.5 measures as it fades out. Now, we talked about Ace when we hit the 5. He's doing that unison bend. Alright? As the trill fades out, what he does is the unison bend from 12 to 15, he's going to move that up to 12 and 18, and then 17 and 20. And again, it's fading out, but that is what Ace plays that's different in the recording versus live and how they end it. So Paul's solo, which is really, really well done, will sound like this. Alright, so what he's doing there, and then of course Ace takes over. And I watch these guys do this live. So Paul does this pretty much note for note live. Later years with Tommy Thayer, they do it a bit different. Matter of fact, Tommy plays a whole solo in a couple videos that I saw. And a little bit different, but you know, that's him putting his spin on it. So we're talking strictly from the recording in a live 2, which follows the same thing. So we're going to hit 14 on the 3rd string bent, and then again, then unbent to 12 and 14. Then we're going to hit 14 with a bend release, pull off to 12, landing on 14 on the 4th string. So we have this so far. Then he hits 12 on the 3rd string, and it's a slow bend. Then he comes in with the 2nd string at 12 to the 1st string at 15 and bends that with some vibrato. Then he hits 15 to 14 twice unbent. Moving to the 2nd string at 15, the 3rd string at 14. Back to the 2nd string at 15, and then a bend. So you'll hear it hit, and then he bends it. So we have this so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Point, he grabs the 3rd string at 14 with a bend and then hits it unbent to 12, slid to 11, catching 14 on the 4th string, pulled off to 12, and then hitting 14. Alright, so that last part after the 15 bend, then Ace comes in with his part. So for Ace's part, when he comes in, again, watching live videos, I see he's doing it here with the A, and Tommy Thayer's taking it all the way to 22 on the 1st and 2nd string, which, frankly, I think just makes it harder on yourself. But, you know, he's a great player, so that's what he does. But same notes. We're going to do a pre-bend on 14, so you want to bend it up, not striking it. We're going to hit 15 on the 2nd string, let that ring, and then hit that bent 14 and release it. Alright, we're going to do that a total of 4 times before we move to the 12th fret of the 3rd string. Then we land on 14 on the 4th string. So we have this. Then what Ace does, he goes chromatically 12, 13, 14 on the 5th string and the 4th string. He comes to the 3rd string at 12, back to 14 on the 4th. Then he comes back to the 3rd string, 12 to 14, And then he'll hit 14 with a bend and release and pull off to 12 before striking 14 again. Alright, so all together the chromatic run, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to hit 12 and 14 on that third string again before doing 14 again with a bend and release and pull off to 12 and landing on 15 on the second string this time. Alright, so that's pretty much the whole, what I consider the chromatic run. So let's go through that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I noticed Tommy plays a little, because at this point, the lead kind of stops and the band goes into the little walk down that they do during the rhythm. But I noticed Tommy plays this, and I don't see Ace doing this live because there's no camera shots of him doing it. But I imagine he could. So what we're going to do is on the fourth string, 14 to 12, then we'll go to the fifth string, 14, 13, 12, over to 10. Alright, so let's do that whole Ace lick from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll hear him come in with this. So Ace's final part will sound like this. Alright, what we're doing there is we're hitting 15 on the second string to 17, so we'll be in the 15th position. And we'll hit 17 on the first string with some bend and vibrato. Then we're going to hit it, bend it, release, pull off to 15, landing on 17 on the second. Then we do a pull off from 17 to 15, and then back to 17 with a bend, release, and pull off to 15. Then we hit 17 and then 17 again as we bend it. So we have this so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have this so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what we do is hit 15, and that 17 rings out for a measure, and that 17 will ring out for a little bit, and then what we do is hit 15, hammered into 17 on the second string, back to 15, pulled off, landing on 16. We're going to do the same type of lick from the third to fourth string, 12th position, 12 hammered on to 14, pulled back off to 12 on the third string, landing on 14. Then we come back to 12 on the third, to 14 with 4 bends that are very memorable. Alright, so that whole lick together, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have the whole song. I really hope everyone enjoys that. It's a joy to play once you get it down. Paul and Ace's licks are phenomenal, very memorable, and what more can you ask for? So I hope you guys enjoy.